The Tipping Point with Mike Tipton is brought to you by Dubby. What is Dubby? Dubby is a clean energy drink that is made to give you focus with no crash, jitters, or angst like those other energy drinks have. They also have no maltodextrin fillers and don't use artificial dyes. Dubby contains vitamins, amino acids, a nootropic, and 150 milligrams of caffeine. W's products are made in the USA in an FDA inspected facility that strictly adheres to GMP manufacturing guidelines. All of the flavors are unique and custom made by W, and you'll never taste our taste anywhere else. The best part about it is they're affordable. W's drinks come out to about $1 per drink, much cheaper than Starbucks or any of those canned energy drinks. To learn more, visit w.gg.com/MRTipton33 and place your order today. Use promo code MrTipton33 and save today. W Energy, be better. Are you a fellow car guy? I have a 2008 Ford Mustang GT convertible, and nothing makes me happier in that car than when it's nice and clean. And you know who helps me get there? RevAutoCarCare.com. They help me get that pony looking as nice and shiny and ready for any of the car meetups that are all around the great city of El Paso. Spoil your car and go to RevAutoCarCare.com/Tipton and view all the inventory they have and find out what works for you to help make your ride shine. RevAutoCarCare.com/Tipton. Use promo code Tipton33 at checkout to save 15%. We all know there's hundreds of betting sites out there, but don't be fooled. Some sites are legal in some states only. Some sites pay in Bitcoin, and some sites have even been hacked. BetUS, however, has been in business for over 30 years. Future bets are paying out in the thousands, and if you act right now, you can still bet on the biggest games in sports. Visit BetUS.com, or you can click the link at nessp.info. BetUS, check it out and bet responsibly. It is time for the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton. Thank you all so much for tuning in to today's show. We're live on X, on YouTube, on Facebook, and of course on Roku with our friends over at National Streaming Sports. Want to give a shout out to W Energy. They have joined us now as a sponsor here on the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton. All you got to do, go to wenergy.gg or go to the long link, which is wenergy.gg/discount/Mike Tipton. I would just go to wenergy.gg and use the promo code Mr. Tipton 33. That's the promo code MRTIPTON 33 at wenergy.gg. I tried it out the other day. I've got my shaker here with me. It's really one of those cool things for me because I have issues every now and then. I'm not going to say I've got like ADHD or anything like that, which I probably do, but I'm not going to say that I do. But I've noticed that as I've gotten older, I have a harder time focusing, a harder time getting things done the way that I want to get them done, that I'm used to getting them done. And whenever I tried this, about a week or so ago, I saw that I had more focus. I was able to get the things done, especially doing things like this with the show. I'm a very introverted person, so by the time I'm done with the show, I'm normally just exhausted, right? Like I got to turn up the personality and do all this stuff. But thanks to W Energy, after I did the show the last couple of days, I am in great mental place. I don't have to take a nap throughout the remainder of the day. I don't feel exhausted. So I want to give a shout out to our friends over at W Energy. Remember, W.gg. Use promo code Mr. Tipton 33. I'm left-handed, and I feel bad. Like I need to get like a W for lefties or something like that. I don't know how y'all do it. Like all you right-handed people, like it's weird for me. There you go. For the marketing arm of the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton and Tipton Sports Broadcasting Network. Give it a shout out to our friends over at W. Tommy Carranza saying good morning, Tip. Good morning to you, Tommy. There's a couple of places that I want to start. Like it was great yesterday. It was all about the NBA, the trade that happened over the weekend. Luka Doncic being traded for Anthony Davis, and it seemed to dominate, just absolutely dominate the sports cycle over the last couple of days. And then we all also had to remember that not only is it NBA playoff or NBA trade deadline week, but it's also Super Bowl week. And what would Super Bowl week be without an appearance from Roger Goodell?
And I think it also is a reminder for us how important officiating is. And I think the men and women that officiate in the NFL are outstanding. They have the highest possible standards. That's ridiculous theory for anyone who might take it seriously. But at the end of the day, it's something we always have to continue to work on. How do we make our officiating better at all times?
That is the voice of NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell talking about one of the elephants in the room, which is the officiating issues that people have, or I guess the issues that people have with officiating in the NFL. Now, I'm not one of the ones that subscribes to the conspiracy theories of sports are rigged, all sports are rigged, blah blah blah, right? Like I think if you genuinely think that way, then you've got some just mental blockers where you want to buy whatever conspiracy theory is out there. And again, I'm all for a good conspiracy theory. The NFL being rigged is not a good conspiracy theory. Like it just flatly isn't. But for Roger Goodell, the commissioner of the NFL, to have been asked this question and to actually answer it the way that he answered it shows, I guess, a little bit of transparency, right? Like, especially in these times where we're just getting bombarded with messages left and right about all kinds of things and weird spending, like $600 million on sushi. It seems like it's nice to have just a little bit of actual transparency, right? Like, show us where these conspiracies started at, where they come from, what you can use to kind of back them up. And I was talking to a friend the other day. We got into I don't even want to say heated discussion. It was just more along the lines of like, what are you talking about, guy? And his whole issue was that it seems like the NFL was rigged, right? But all sports in general were rigged. Kobe Bryant dies in a horrific helicopter crash. The LA Lakers win the NBA finals. And it's like, oh, we had to make good on that. I don't necessarily subscribe to things of that nature, right? And then they're saying, oh, for Patrick Mahomes, like it's Patrick Mahomes being the golden child of the NFL and all this other stuff. Like, again, I'm here for a good conspiracy theory. If that was the case, if it was the case, I don't see a scenario where the Kansas City Chiefs tight end and who he's dating dictates who goes to the Super Bowl. We're trying to make it seem as though the Chiefs are a bad team. And again, yes, they've been very lucky this year, but you know what else they've been? Very good this year as well, right? Like that defense, we all saw that defense is legit. They went toe to toe with one of the most prolific offenses in the NFL in Buffalo. Like they've been able to hold their own. One legitimate loss. Yes, I know there's two, so we can call it two losses, whatever. But one legitimate loss for this team all season long. And it came to a team that they wound up beating in the AFC Championship game. They're a good team. And the fact that we have to start off in Super Bowl week with the commissioner of the NFL being asked about conspiracies is just mind-blowing to me. And I love the fact that it's like, oh, well, the helicopter crash happened and Kobe Bryant got to win a championship. To which I said, okay, well, let's talk about 9/11, right? Like let's talk about that. The Yankees, if that was the case, should have won the World Series in 2001 instead of losing it to the Arizona Diamondbacks, right? Like that would have been the perfect script writing for MLB baseball for us to all be like, oh yeah, you know what? I can buy in to the conspiracy theory things here. We're also talking about the Lakers as though in 2020 they weren't a good team, as though Anthony Davis in 2020 wasn't 26 years old, as though Anthony Davis wasn't the most sought after piece to the puzzle in the NBA at that point in time, right? Like LeBron James was slightly younger and much more athletic at the time. The Lakers were not a bad team in 2020. They were the ones that everyone thought was going to win the championship anyway, right? Like that to me is just a moot point, right? Coincidental? I don't even think so. Like they were the best team in the NBA at the time of Kobe Bryant's death. Then we have the pandemic that happens. They get to the bubble. And again, those sightlines, those amazing sightlines that everyone kept talking about in the bubble was just the thing that they needed. Augustine Pimentel saying, here's a conspiracy theory. Tipton will never get credentialed to a UTEP game. I've actually got like a season credential for the basketball season. We're going to be working on trying to get more for the football season coming up. But again, like I guess it just goes back to maybe I was too much of a jerk for UTEP. I don't know. I mean, we'll see. We'll talk about UTEP stuff on a different show. This is a national show. We're not going to be talking about the University of Texas at El Paso until they do something that's worth talking about at a national level. Again, I'm here for a good conspiracy theory. I genuinely am. But make it a good conspiracy theory, right? Like that's been the issue that I have with people when they want to have the banter back and forth about like your teams and everything like that of, oh, well, you know, the Dallas Cowgirls. Well, okay, I've been hearing that for 40 damn years. Like let's get something a little more inventive, right? Like something that at least be funny. Like don't be lame, right? Like, and the same thing is going to happen with the conspiracy theories. Give me a good one. Like I'd love to see what conspiracy theories are out there that would actually be worth talking about, right? But for me, it's just like, man, can we please just stop trying to blame officials for whatever happens to you? And it's not even like it's happening directly to you, but because the team you don't like wins. Is it because Kansas City wins all the time that we're going to sit back and be like, oh no, like I don't want to watch this team win anymore? And again, like you see it right here. I got the Texas Tech stuff going on. I am a Texas Tech fan, right? So Patrick Mahomes, I'm loving all of this because Texas Tech doesn't get players like this out there all that often, right? Like Texas Tech isn't the factory of football that people think the rest of the schools in Texas are. So it's awesome to see someone from Texas Tech being as successful as Patrick Mahomes is. I saw one of the people rebut to the conspiracy theory talk of, oh yeah, you know, the NFL, they want the mid-market team in middle America with the quarterback that everyone had second guesses about from the unknown football school. They want that team to win all the Super Bowls. That's what the NFL conspiracy is. And then they go on and they talk about maybe, just maybe, it's the Taylor Swift effect. I love that. The Taylor Swift effect, right? They want to see Taylor Swift in the Super Bowl. Jesus, that's all they want. Augustine, I'm not going to put that comment up. That's all they want, right? Like, just Taylor Swift. Meanwhile, the NFL audience, like for all the games along, has dropped by 2%, right? Like as a whole, they've dropped by 2%. So the NFL isn't going to put one team on in an attempt, a terrible attempt, to try and placate to one audience, because I don't know anybody that would watch an NFL game, that would go through the entirety of an NFL game to see the handful of times that they show Taylor Swift. If Travis Kelce catches the ball, they should show Taylor Swift. That's his girlfriend and wife, right? I've seen it a bunch of times. DeAndre Hopkins, whenever he catches a ball, they show his mother in the end zone. The great story behind her of where she was blinded by her lover, and like that helped DeAndre Hopkins get the motivation to get her out of the situation that she was in. And he gives her a ball every time that he scores a touchdown, right? They show Bradley Cooper, 18 times during the last Eagles game because he's a famous Eagles fan. This isn't something new to the NFL. How many times do they show Jerry Jones during a Dallas Cowboys broadcast? Why? Because that's someone that has a story behind them. The quote unquote love story between Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, to me, Jesus Christ, Augustine, is just like it's fun, right? Like it's a novelty right now. It's not going to be something that draws audiences in. Them showing Taylor Swift, like there's not a person in the NFL being like, look, we have to show Taylor Swift all the time. Marlene Salcedo saying, good morning, Tip. Looking good. I appreciate that. I don't know what it is. I've got to try to get these migraines under control because I can't even, like, with my glasses right now, I can't even. So I'm trying to power through with all of the stuff that's going on here right now. Augustine Pimentel, I will put up this one. The other ones I'm not going to put up, Augustine. Come on now. Augustine saying, conspiracy theory, Jerry Jones isn't a Dallas Cowboys fan. He wanted to bury the franchise. That's a good one, right? Like he buys the team, gives them success, and is like, yeah, look, everyone's going to think I'm a great owner, and then just tanks them into the ground. I like that, right? Obviously, I also kind of agree with that. Let's go back to what I was talking about yesterday with the Dallas Mavericks and Miriam Adelson, right? The franchise, we made it look good. We made it all the way to the NBA Finals. Now we get rid of people on the payroll. The value of the team is going to go up. The overhead capital that you'll be able to make whenever you sell things. That's kind of why people get laid off in the media, right? Because now all of a sudden you have more on the assets end as opposed to what you're paying in losses. Maybe that felt a little personal for me. Woof, my bad. I apologize for the eventual sell that's going to happen. Maybe that's going to be something that happens with the Dallas Mavericks in the future. Maybe the Adelson family, sells them off. Tommy will be a happy guy, I'm sure. Mark Cuban might want to try to buy them back, a 27% owner. I love yesterday that they asked Mark Cuban, or like the text came out of like, yeah, I was texting Mark Cuban and I asked him, what the hell's going on? I'm so confused. And he's like, that makes two of us. Tommy Cananza saying, Jesus, I have to use my glasses now. All right. Jerry sold his soul to the devil to win 3 Super Bowls. He'll never win again. Everyone thought about that with Tom Brady too, right? Like Tom Brady must have sold his soul to the devil. Augustine saying, conspiracy theory, Tommy Cananza is actually a 49ers fan. I like this. I like where we're going with this. We're going to have to come up with a whole list of conspiracy theories in sports, right? Like I am here for it, man. I am like one of my favorite ones is the one with like Patrick Ewing, how he goes to the New York Knicks of the frozen envelope, and you stick your hand and you just try to find the cold envelope, not realizing that if something is cold inside of a contained area, that the other stuff around it is also going to get cold, especially if it's in there for an extended period of time. So that one for me, that's a good one. I like that one. Augustine, the other ones, not so much. Not so much. I will put this one up just because it's not, I guess, as offensive, which would be the conspiracy theory that LeBron had Kobe killed to be more than Kobe, which I don't get that one, right? Like he's already on the all-time scoring list ahead of Kobe. Like I mean, come on, like it's been all that. Tommy Cananza giving the middle finger to the 49ers conspiracy theory. That's busted. Tommy Cananza profusely denying the allegations of being a secret San Francisco 49ers fan. I will say this, like I'm the type of fan where, again, like I like to see other teams succeed. Like I genuinely do, especially long tortured fan bases. but you need to do that in a specific window, right? Like whenever the Eagles won, and I got to see my friends once again celebrate seeing their team win a championship for the first time ever, right? Like a lot of them in their 50s had lived their entire life with Super Bowls being played and never saw their team win a Super Bowl. So for me, for my friends, I was like, "Oh, you know what? That's awesome. I'm happy for you, right?" My guy James Steele, I do Bob, Jim, and Pat with him. He's a hardcore Chiefs fan, same exact age, is a couple months older than me. He had to wait, what is it? I guess 36 years to see his team win a Super Bowl because it had been 50 years between Super Bowls for the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, obviously, he's extremely spoiled as a sports fan now. And if he never wins another one, I'm sure he's okay with it, right? Like, I feel the same. Like, I want the Cowboys to win another Super Bowl, but I've been so spoiled as a sports fan that I can't sit back and complain all the time. I'm a Spurs fan. I've seen them win 5. I'm a Yankees fan. I've seen them win 5, and I know people are going to be like, "Oh my God, Cowboys and Yankees, get over yourself." Whenever I grew up, they didn't show the Texas Rangers and the Houston Astros in this part of Texas because blackout rules. So they only showed the Dodgers or the Yankees, which is why most people in El Paso are either Dodgers or Yankees fans. Not to mention, we're probably closer to like the Arizona Diamondbacks than we are to the Texas Rangers. For those of you that don't realize just how big the state of Texas is. As a matter of fact, I think we're closer to the Colorado Rockies than we are the Houston Astros, which is just insane. We might even be closer to the San Diego Padres now that I think about it. Jesus. Nonetheless, I've been a spoiled sports fan, right? Even my hockey team. I became a hockey fan the year this team came into existence and said, this is going to be my team. I went to ESPN, needed to learn hockey because I wanted to be well-rounded in case they needed me for anything. The Vegas Golden Knights were the brand new team. Why not become a fan of the Vegas Golden Knights? Fast forward a couple of years, they win themselves a Stanley Cup, right? So I've been spoiled as a sports fan. I don't get to complain about these things. That's why I like seeing my fellow sports fans be happy in just a certain window of time. If you can't get it done in that window, like the same thing with the Detroit Lions, right? Y'all had your window. For me, my window of being happy for you has closed. You can blame it on one fan if you want to, but that guy trying to tell me about what winning culture is as a Detroit Lions fan was just mind-blowing. And for everyone to think that it was something that was going to just be handed to them. Here, you're the Detroit Lions. Take it. Now you know what it's like to finally have expectations and not reach it. Congratulations, Detroit. You're a failure. I always love being able to like be that guy. Like, you're a failure. Okay. So a lot of stuff happened yesterday, right? Especially in the NFL. The NFL was like, look, this is our week. NBA, we're not going to let you and your trades knock us off the top of being what everybody's talking about. And I feel like Roger Goodell, this is going to be my conspiracy, right? If we're going to talk about conspiracy theories, Roger Goodell calls up Myles Garrett and says, Myles, you need to demand a trade out of Cleveland. Augustine saying conspiracy theory. Michael Jordan is an alien. Conspiracy theory. Tommy Kanata negates he's a 49ers fan while wearing a Joe Montana jersey. Conspiracy theory. The NFL has instructed refs that if there's a questionable call, it goes against Dallas. It doesn't even have to be questionable. Dallas does dumb things all the time. So they kind of deserve every questionable call they get. But I wanted to show this, right? Because as I said, yesterday, defensive end, the reigning defensive player of the year, Myles Garrett, releases that he is wanting a trade out of Cleveland. The letter says, quote, as a kid dreaming of the NFL, all I focused on was the ultimate goal of winning a Super Bowl. And that goal fuels me today more than ever. My love for the community of Northeast Ohio and the incredible fan base of the Cleveland Browns has made this one of the toughest decisions of my life. These past 8 years have shaped me into the man that I am today. While I loved calling this city my home, my desire to win and compete on the biggest stages won't allow me to be complacent. The goal was never to go from Cleveland to Canton. It was always been to compete and win a Super Bowl. With that in mind, I have requested to be traded from the Cleveland Browns. Myles Garrett requesting a trade away from the Cleveland Browns. Tommy Cananza wearing a cowboy sweater at the moment, Augustine. Boom! Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Conspiracy debunked. But the trade market for Myles Garrett, from all the things that I've seen out there, is going to be massive, right? Like anybody that wants, again, a defensive upgrade is going to want a player like Myles Garrett. Like they're always going to want a player like Myles Garrett. But it just Augustine saying complacent. So why doesn't Garrett just try harder in Cleveland? You're the defensive player of the year. He doesn't play on offense, right? Like the Cleveland Browns just have terrible ownership and they're just going to be terrible like moving forward. They've made such bad decisions. I don't blame him for wanting to get out of that organization. Augustine will be a Chiefs fan by 2026, 100%. I mean, if he's not already. Like let's be honest. Like Augustine, as whenever the bandwagon starts moving forward, Augustine's the first person. He's the conductor of the bandwagon. I've been reading articles though, talking about this trade for Myles Garrett and how it's not going to be the easiest trade to get done here simply because the amount of money that Myles Garrett has on his contract, like remaining on his contract. That's moving a huge contract over to another team. That's why for me, the Dallas Cowboys, as awesome as it would be, it's just not going to happen. Right? Like you have to have a ton of salary cap space in order to sign and trade for Myles Garrett. I feel like one of the teams he can go to would be the Chicago Bears. They need an anchor like that on defense. They have a young team with a good offense who's going to have now what was the most coveted offensive coordinator in the NFL as their new head coach with Ben Johnson. That to me would be the spot for Myles Garrett to go, would be the Chicago Bears. Obviously, it's going to take a little bit of time to rebuild and get back up to where they need to be in order for Myles Garrett to quote unquote compete for a Super Bowl. Augustine saying which teams are ready for Myles Garrett? Ha ha ha. The Bears? No. Again, like it's all about salary cap space, right? It's not as easy to trade Myles Garrett because of, and I have to look it up because I don't have the number off the top of my head. What Myles Garrett's salary cap is going to be over the next couple of years, right? And this is where it's going to be interesting for him. It's going to be a $20 million cap hit, right? So right there, you automatically have X amount of people that cannot sign him. And then next season, it goes into a $37 million cap hit and they can restructure and they can do a bunch of other stuff like that. But the thing is that there are only a handful of teams that have the money and the assets that they can trade to sign a Myles Garrett, right? Like if the Dallas Cowboys did it, there would have to be so many the things that they did to restructure his deal, to restructure other people's deals, that they would be in the exact same position that they're in right now for the next couple of seasons, right? And that's the salary cap hell that the Dallas Cowboys are in. Myles Garrett is going to have to go to a team that is salary cap friendly and would have to, like be willing to restructure deals for a long period of time, right? Like I get it. He's going to be what, 30 this year, maybe a little bit younger than that, 29. I have to see how old Myles Garrett is going to be, which is kind of funny to think about. Like a guy that is objectively much younger than the rest of us. Yeah, he's going to be 30 this season. It's just not a thing that I think is going to yeah. Like again, you have to go to a team that has the ability to sign you and then extend you out with salary cap. The Dallas Cowboys just cannot do that. Tommy Canazza saying Myles Garrett wants to be shipped to a winner. Watch them send him to the Raiders. That would be perfect. Again, I'm all about you make a trade that's going to help out the team the best, right? Look at all they gave up. Look at what all of the Cleveland Browns gave up whenever they traded for Deshaun Watson, right? Like you lose Baker Mayfield, who we've seen as a great quarterback. You lost 3 first-round draft picks, 2 third-round draft picks, numerous amounts of players. What was it? $231 million guaranteed that's going to continue to just spread out over the next couple of seasons. Like, and now you're going to lose out on Myles Garrett and a couple of other players and things like that, right? Like the Cleveland Browns made such a terrible decision signing Deshaun Watson that it really handcuffed their team. And they haven't even really gotten games out of him because of suspensions, because of injuries, etc., etc. Augustine saying the Cowboys should trade the overrated Micah Parsons for Myles Garrett. He has 4 good years left in him. I would say that Micah Parsons has probably the same, if not more, good years left in him. So it wouldn't be feasible, right? And for me, if you're the Dallas Cowboys, maybe you work out the contract with the DeMarcus Lawrence and you ship him out, right? Like that to me would be a good trade. It gives Cleveland a guy to anchor their defense around, et cetera, et cetera. But again, like I feel like there's so much that you would have to do that it would be almost impossible for the Dallas Cowboys to be able to trade for Myles Garrett. I don't even think it would be something you can pull off in like Madden, right? Like you'd have to give up so much for Myles Garrett. And for me right now, the Dallas Cowboys aren't a Myles Garrett away, right? Like they're that just that's actually a good thought. I'll get to that in just a second. This is again my mind working in real time. You get to see it as it's happening. I just don't see a scenario where the Dallas Cowboys would be able to pull this trade off. So I'm taking them straight off the list, right? Another team that I think would be interesting would be Denver. Right? Like we saw Denver made it to the playoffs. They are a good team. I think the second best team in the AFC West, and that's only because they're in the same division with the Kansas City Chiefs, right? All you want to do is get to the dance and have the ability to maybe do something in the dance, right? And that's what Myles Garrett is trying to do. Imagine you spend all that time in Cleveland. They get rid of the quarterback that takes you to the playoffs, that gets you your first playoff win since God knows how long. And then you just get rid of him and you sign Deshaun Watson and it all just goes downhill from there, right? If you're Myles Garrett, you want out. You just need out of that area. For me, Denver would be a great landing spot for him because Denver can trade some some of the draft capital they have to Cleveland. They can sign him. They're going to have a ton of money left in salary cap. I think Denver would be a great spot for him. I still think Chicago would be, just because Chicago is going to start building around Caleb Williams. Like that to me is going to be one of the spots that you're going to try to trade him to. I wouldn't be surprised if Myles Garrett winds up in Washington, but Washington would have to do a lot of trades and get rid of a lot of assets that I don't think it's necessarily going to help out their defense. Plus, their issue isn't at the pass rush; it's at the run stopping end of it, right? And I get Myles Garrett can do both, but he's really made his bread and butter as being a pass rusher. Tommy Cananza, conspiracy theory: Augustine sold his brain cells to the devil for a bag of peanuts, and that was still a bad trade for the devil. So I'd like to see where eventually Miles Garrett winds up. If you trade him before June 1st, it's a $36 million dead cap hit. If you trade him after that, then it's a savings of $5 million. So for me, if you're the Cleveland Browns, you gotta make sure you just whatever team, right? Whoever gives you the best offer for Miles Garrett. I always hate whenever players do this, like they go public with I want to trade, because now what you're doing is you're devaluing yourself, right? Because now the teams know that you want out. So now they don't have to give a max offer to the other team. And we all see, like, whenever trades like this happen, I think just once again talking about trades yesterday, right? Luka Doncic going for Anthony Davis. To me, it seemed like it was just a gain nothing type trade. And you kind of wonder, okay, Luka probably could have gotten more because Rudy Gobert got 5 first-round draft picks, right? Why didn't you just shop him around a little better than what you did? Because if Rudy Gobert can get you 5 first-round draft picks, Luka Doncic can get you a damn franchise, right? Like it would have been one of those Herschel Walker to the Vikings type trades from the Dallas Cowboys back in the 90s that would have been able to build your team up for the remainder of eternity. Now, like, I feel like if they had just done it behind closed doors, they probably would have gotten more from Myles Garrett. Now, clearly, he doesn't care what happens to the Cleveland Browns. But if I'm Cleveland, I don't give a damn where he wants to go. Right? You don't want to be here? Cool. I'll ship you out wherever the hell you want to go. I'll send you over to Vegas, right? Like Tommy said. Let's just go over to the Raiders. Conspiracy theory, Jerry Jones is running the Mavs. The Adelson family calling Jerry Jones for basketball advice. I like that conspiracy theory. Excuse me, Jerry. How do we win the love of the city of Dallas? Well, all you got to do is just trade away your best player. That's what I do. Get rid of that Luka Doncic. I could see that happening. I genuinely could see that happening. It feels like ownership in the Dallas Metroplex area right now, like the ownerships that run all of the professional sports franchises out there, are just throwing crap against the wall and seeing what sticks. Like it genuinely feels like that. Again, I believe that for the Dallas Mavericks this season, there could be more upside than what there would be for the Lakers with this trade. Again, huge caveat. If Anthony Davis can stay healthy. And I get it. The last couple of years, he's been healthy adjacent. Not healthy complete, but healthy adjacent. But it still doesn't make you feel good. And I don't even know. And Tommy, maybe you can answer this for me. I don't even know what the amount of championships would have to be to even equal out, to like get a balance of equilibrium of knowing that you traded away Luka Doncic. Like I feel like if you won 3 or 4 championships, maybe, but can you see the Dallas Mavericks doing that the way that they're constructed right now with Anthony Davis and Kyrie? Maybe they win 1. I can't see them winning multiples. And you have to live with the fact that you traded away, again, one of the most generational players in the NFL or in the NBA. And that's exactly what's going to happen with the Cleveland Browns trading away Myles Garrett, a guy that we all know is one of the best, if not the best, defensive player in the NFL, all because you couldn't build a team around him because you invested all of your money in Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson. That's the guy. And it's not even like it was to Deshaun Watson before all of the allegations came out. It was to Deshaun Watson after all the allegations came out. You knew that he was going to have to sit out an entire season and plus more, and that he wasn't the best type of dude out there, right? I didn't talk about this last week, but the same issues came up with the Baltimore Ravens kicker, Justin Tucker. It ain't that damn hard. Like it genuinely isn't. And maybe I'm, saying something that might be considered controversial here, but it's not that damn hard to just keep stuff to yourself. Not difficult. Look, I've been doing this for a decade almost, and I haven't pulled it out on camera yet. I say that's going to be one hell of a way out. Sorry, Roku. That's going to be one hell of a way out whenever I decide, you know what, I'm done with this. Follow me on my OnlyFans page. And for those of you that don't know, I genuinely did have an OnlyFans page for a short period of time. No pictures, though. It was just this voice. Just always this voice. Hello there. How are you doing? Conspiracy theory. Vince McMahon is actually running the United States sports. It feels like that. I mean, Vince McMahon might be the mentor of Deshaun Watson and Justin Tucker. Augustine saying the Dallas Mavericks franchise wants to go back to the 80s. Irrelevant, no investment, only money. That's exactly what I was saying. Exactly what I was saying with the Dallas Mavericks. It's to me, it's such an injustice to the fan base whenever you do stuff like that. Tommy's saying that you got to win no less than three championships, and it kind of equals out for the disappointment of trading away Luka Doncic. I love, and I can't wait for one of these days whenever I get to actually go to the Super Bowl. I've been trying, right? I get so frustrated because it feels like I'm right there where, I get to go to the NFL drafts. I've been to the Mexico City game, right? Like I've done a few things with the NFL. I've even put in to go to the draft combine, which I'm pretty sure I'll get rejected to go to, right? Same thing happened with the Pro Bowl. You have no idea how demoralizing it is whenever the NFL tells you, nah, you're not invited to the Pro Bowl. But I love NFL Radio Row Media Week, right? Like I genuinely love this week. Not because I care so much about the X's and O's. The game's going to play out the way the game is going to play out. We have no impact on that. We can know what the plays are going to be if you watch the games during the season, right? Like, yeah, there'll be a wrinkle here and there. They're not going to let you know what it is during media week, right? But it's just awesome to be able to see some of the personalities that come out of this, whether it's the players or whether it's the people that are being interviewed. Or the interviewees for some, right? Like a couple of years ago, there was like a little kid that was interviewing Tom Brady. There was a woman from, I want to say, Venezuela, and she, had such a tremendous accent. And like these people became stars, just for a short period of time. Not every star burns forever, but they were stars for a short period of time because of their interviewing style. And yesterday, and I hope that you all got to see this. If you do, check out NFL on Fox, all of the social media channels that they have. You got to witness this diamond from Jameis Winston.
You've been here before, man. You going for your fourth
fourth
Super Bowl with this organization, man. What all of us really want to know here today, brother, is what's your favorite color?
He asked Chris Jones. Chris Jones is laughing.
Oh, man, James, man, it's always a pleasure, man. Favorite color is always red, man.
Red? Do you be seeing red when you be sacking quarterbacks, man? Because you're not pleasant when you're in the backfield.
You know what? I see a red, man. I do see a red.
Okay, so when you push my right tackle in my lap, were you thinking about the sack or were you just trying to hurt my right tackle?
I was definitely thinking about the sack. Okay. James.
I love, and you got to go and watch the remainder of them, right? Like all the stuff that's happening with Jameis Winston as he has become basically a star. Like he is a star-making vehicle in the NFL right now. This is the interview that he had with Philadelphia Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni.
Big fan. Hey, Jameis Winston, Fox Sports.
I know who you are.
Man, I got so much respect for your leadership. Every year I watch the Philadelphia Eagles, I see that team is resilient, it's tough, and accountable. Can you please just answer the question that we all want to know? What do you think I need to go for free agency?
Say what you asked me again.
What do you think I need to go for free agency?
I don't know. I know you're a heck of a football player, though, and I think we were talking. Somebody and I were talking about you.
And Nick Sirianni gives a boring answer because he's Nick Sirianni. He has zero personality. What a jerk! Ruined that majestic time right there from Jameis Winston. I love the career resurgence. As Augustine says, Jameis Winston is like having a kindergarten talking and asking questions. It is majestic. I love this shift of what we've got from Jameis Winston. I've been all about just who he is as a player. Again, like, I love a gunslinging quarterback. Jameis Winston's going to go back there and just be like, you know what? F it. I'm throwing this football, right? I love it too. Tommy Canazza saying, I love that Jameis Winston doesn't care about what people think, right? The personality that we've been able to see from Jameis Winston this week or this year, right? Playing in the snow in Buffalo, and he's just kind of looking off into the side. He's like, I am just so blessed to get to play in snow. And it's almost like he's just doing his own thing, right? Like, he's got zero care about what's going on in the world around him. He's just great with that stuff. Augustine saying at least he didn't get intercepted asking questions. There's a great clip. Again, I can't play all of them, but there's a great clip if you go onto the social media for NFL on Fox, where he had some W cookies made. For those of you that don't remember, Jameis Winston was eating the W's like they were crab legs. That's going back to a thing that happened to him in college. He was throwing the W cookies to Travis Kelce, and one of the cookies got intercepted. And he's like, of course one of my cookies is going to get intercepted. He has sank into who he is as just like a person and a player, right? And I love me some Jameis Winston, where you're going to get 5,000 yards, you're going to get 30 touchdowns, but you're also going to get 30 interceptions, and just some of the most, what in the F is going on here, plays that come out of there, followed by, how did he pull that off, right? He is the definition of a bipolar quarterback, and I am here for it in my veins. Again, I love the career resurgence that he has had as just being the guy who realizes how lucky he is to be playing at the professional level. Augustine saying, I know he knows he is blessed. That is the awesome part. Gary Bryant saying Jameis should be protected by all of the authority we have available. He is a national treasure. Love his personality. He should have a statue outside of every NFL stadium he's played in. My guy, I am with you on that. Like, I am here. I am here for us at protect this man by all costs. I put a tweet of that out earlier in the season. I can't remember what it was that he said because there's just so much gold in it, right? But this is I think this is the part of sports that I love, is where you see a guy who genuinely knows how lucky he is to be in that position, right? And it's countered by all the other guys that are out there that just don't talk or don't have any personality, and they don't show any of it until later on, right? Like with Tom Brady. I genuinely feel like if Tom Brady had showed any of the personality that we get in the commercials, any of the personality we get that we saw at like the roast and stuff like that, people would have a completely different feeling about Tom Brady, right? And I feel like that's what we have with Patrick Mahomes. Like, we see the Mahomes silly side with like the commercials and stuff like that he does. And you see that he's kind of like a goof, but he really loves and is like just addicted to football. But I don't think people hate the Kansas City Chiefs because of Patrick Mahomes, where people hated the New England Patriots just because of Tom Brady, right? Gary Bryant going on to say that Jameis Winston has a coaching or TV, podcasting, radio, any type of career he wants after he's done playing. I wouldn't even, like, I could see Jameis Winston being like a cameo appearance in like TV shows and being in movies and stuff like that, right? Like, obviously, whatever movie Jameis Winston is going to be in isn't going to be like a Grammy, or well, I don't even think Grammys are for that, but like isn't going to be an award-winning, Emmy-winning, Oscar-winning type of performance. It's going to be one of those funny, silly little, oh my God, I can't believe Jameis Winston is doing this, right? But like, I think one of the commercials I saw, because it's all over TV all the time, is Impractical Jokers on TBS or whatever. But it was the Impractical Jokers, and Anthony Davis is doing like an Impractical Jokers type show, right? I don't know if that works with Anthony Davis, because we don't get to see that type of personality out of Anthony Davis. If Jameis Winston did a show like that where he's just pulling off, practical jokes on people, I'd watch it, right? Like whatever it is that Jameis Winston wants to do with his post NFL career, as far as like the media sphere goes, he's going to be successful because he has so much more personality than, I'd say, the majority of the NFL that's out there, right? Like I would tune in. I would tune in all the time. Augustine saying, how difficult is it to get Winston on this show? I have to reach out to the NFL, so I think during the offseason it might be a little bit easier. During the regular season, not so much. But you know what, Augustine? I will reach out. He's a free agent right now, so I don't have to worry about reaching out to teams. That's always one of the harder parts. Like, I've tried to get Dallas Cowboys players on the show before, and the media department kind of regulates who gets to go where. And the quarterback of a franchise probably isn't going to do it. But as a free agent, I'm going to shoot my shot, right? There's one thing I learned from my guy Brandon the Iceman Cohn, is that if you don't ask, you never know. The worst they can say is no, right? Like that. So I will try. I will try to get my guy on the show, Jameis Winston. Augustine going on, conspiracy theory. Mahomes runs like that just to piss people off. I would not be surprised if that was the case at all. I think Mahomes is just, whenever you watch Patrick Mahomes run, it's like watching the old grainy black and white footage of like Red Grange running, where it's just straight up like this, and he's running with the ball, both hands just running like this. And it almost feels like Patrick Mahomes doesn't know how to run. You can also tell, like again, we were talking yesterday about Luka Doncic, how he's basically a jar of mayonnaise playing basketball. Patrick Mahomes is, after his playing career, is going to age like a banana, right? Like it's not going to be pretty. Patrick Mahomes is going to be one of those old dudes, like kind of like me, right? Where you're walking around, you just turned 40, everything hurts, you can't stand up straight because it takes a little bit of time for your body to finally start straightening out and doing the things that it needs to do. That, I feel like, is going to be Patrick Mahomes' future. I don't want it to be. Like, obviously, I want him to have a great life, but just looking at his body, right? This is supposed to be the peak, the physical peak of Patrick Mahomes. And he's built like a loaf of bread. I don't use that term very often when it comes to athletes. It's been Nikola Jokic and Patrick Mahomes that are built like a loaf of bread. Hell, Patrick Mahomes might even be built like a bagel, right? Like that's kind of the way his body is looking at. I'm not one to be out here body shaming. I'm just calling it what it is. I'm a big fat guy too, Patrick Mahomes. You inspire all of us fat guys to be professional athletes, even if it's just in your, I guess, beer league softball. God, it's been forever since I played softball. I think I need to get back into doing softball. But Patrick Mahomes running like that on purpose, I wouldn't doubt it. He knows what he's doing, man. And you saw where he was thinking on a whole different level than everyone else. I want to say it was the Houston game, where he's kind of just like running and he's going in like a straight line along like the 45-yard line or anything like that. And he's looking because he knows if he stays upright that he's going to more than likely get hit. He takes the late slide, which, yes, that needs to be something that gets addressed in the offseason, but he takes the late slide, gets the penalty because he's playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers, right? He knows that even if it's a late slide, because it's not something that's being called in the NFL right now, he's going to be able to get away with it. And yes, any contact, remember, that's the rule, any contact to the head or neck region, the arm hit the neck area, and the helmet grazed against the helmet of Patrick Mahomes. It's the right call. It's a pretty dumb call, but it's the right call. And if you're able to think in that moment, maybe I can do this to help my team out, that shows a level of thinking on the football field where you know you're about to get drilled that I don't think most other quarterbacks have. So I wouldn't be surprised if Patrick Mahomes is out here playing just a completely different game than what the rest of us are even watching or could have thought of playing. Oh, man, good times. Want to give a shout out once again to our friends over at W Energy. That is W.GG. Use promo code Mr. Tipton33. That is Mr. Tipton33 on the promo code over there. I also want to give a little bit of love to our friends over at RevAutoCarCare.com. That's RevAutoCarCare.com/Tipton. Use promo code Tipton33 and save up to 15% on all of your car care needs. Free shipping on orders over $75, free shipping on those orders over $75. And of course, our friends over at www.myhappynuts.com/Mr. Tipton33, or actually /Mike Tipton. I got to get that one out right. myhappynuts.com/Mike Tipton. Use promo code Mike Tipton, yes, all one word, and you can save anywhere from 15 to 30 to 40% right now. The big bundle, the big package on My Happy Nuts on sale, instead of normally being $120, on sale today for just $80. Guys, Valentine's Day right around the corner. Trust me, the shipping, it will get it here just in time, but you've got to make that order today. Valentine's Day right around the corner. Make sure you're looking good for that special person in your life. If you're single, make sure you're looking good for yourself, because chances are you're probably going home by yourself, but at least you want to look good and not cry in front of the mirror while you're eating ice cream alone. I'm an ass. Augustine, it's nuts. If we're gonna put it out there, we got to call it as nuts. All right, we got to do it as nuts. Happy nuts. www.myhappynuts.com/Mike Tipton. Use promo code Mike Tipton. Check out all they have. The best products available for male grooming needs. Guys, it ain't 1850. No one wants the disco bush around anymore. Take care of yourself. I wonder if I can even say that. I haven't heard anything from our friends over at National Streaming Sports. I know I'm a little different than everyone else. I appreciate my awkwardness at times, but man, I still have that governor in my head that's like, maybe I shouldn't have said that on National Streaming Sports. Shout out to the people that are tuned in on National Streaming Sports, the various platforms over on National Streaming Sports, and of course on Roku with the Roku channel, the fast channel that they have. Augustine saying, conspiracy theory, Tips nuts aren't clean or happy. They are both, because I have happy nuts. Go to www.myhappynuts.com/Mike Tipton today, and your nuts could be as happy as mine one of these days. Jesus Christ, I'm an idiot. All right. Once again, everyone, I want to thank you so much for tuning in to today's show, dealing with the nonsense, the just idiocy that is Mike Tipton. I appreciate it so much. I once again can't do all this without you all, so I appreciate you all being a part of this journey. Shout out to W Energy for coming on as a sponsor. We're going to have a new sponsor starting later this week or next week as well. What a better way than to get a new sponsor for right after the Super Bowl. We're going to continue this week, starting tomorrow, to break down the Super Bowl and some of the stuff that's going on with the Super Bowl as well. Everyone, once again, thank you so much for being a part of today's show. We will be back tomorrow. More NFL talk as we get closer to the big game, and we will see you all tomorrow. I was going to say next week, but it's not next week. It's tomorrow. We'll see you all tomorrow.